Sometimes the text for KMyMoney can be small and hard to read. So in this video, we're going to look at ways of changing the text for KMyMoney. The first thing I'm going to do is check my screen display size. I'm looking in the Scale and Layout section where my display resolution is 1920 by 1080 and my scale is 100%. The text size looks pretty good to me, but it might be a little small to show up well in the video. If you have a high resolution monitor, your text is probably even smaller than the text on my screen here and could be hard to read. When I go into the checking account ledger view, I see the text here is really small and I would like to make that larger. KMyMoney does not have a single place to adjust text all at once, but we can change the font size for our ledger entries in the settings. In the main menu, I'll click on Settings and then Configure KMyMoney. And we see a shortcut for this is Control, Shift, and comma. Clicking the Configure KMyMoney opens up a pop-up. I'll close this and try it with the shortcut keys, Control, Shift, and comma. And it works. We've opened back up our Configure KMyMoney pop-up. And from here, I'm going over to the left near the bottom, and I'll click on Fonts. There's a checkbox up here at the top that says Use System Fonts. I'm going to leave that unchecked. And just below that, we have two settings. One says Cell Font, and the other says Header Font. I'm going to click on the pencil here to edit the header font. And I'm going to change this from MS Shell Dig 2 to Deja Vu Serif Condensed. I'm going to leave the font style as Book, and I'm going to change the font size to 18. It shows me a sample down here. And at the bottom, if I only want to see the monospace fonts, I'll check this box. I'm good with the Deja Vu Serif Condensed, so I'll click OK. And we see it's updated here. There's no update on the headers yet, so I'll click Apply. And here we see it's updated. Now let's do the same for our cell font. Again, I'm going to change this to Deja Vu Serif Condensed, Book, and I'll make this one a little smaller. The other was 18, I'll make this one 16. And click Apply, and OK. Here, the ledger entries look good and the headers look good, but the text down below for the ledger entries is still a little small. When I go to the home screen, I notice the text here is a little small too. Changing that font size did not change the home screen. So going back into Settings, Configure KMyMoney, I'm going to click on the Home icon. And a little more than halfway down, we see this zoom factor at 1.0. I'm going to change that to 1.5. If I press enter here, the window will close because if we look over at these buttons, we see the OK button is highlighted. So pressing enter will click OK and close this window. Over on the left, we see a Restore Defaults. If we click this, it will restore all the defaults, not just for the home screen, but also for the fonts that we changed as well. I'm going to apply this change and click OK. Now the home screen is looking better. Going back over to the ledgers, we still have the problem with the very small numbers in the ledger entries, and unfortunately, we do not have a way to change that text from inside of KMyMoney. But we can change that text size. To change the text size for the ledger entry area, we need to go back to the Windows display settings. Here, I'm going to change the scale from 100% to 125%. And we see everything gets a little bigger. And that did help. The text in the ledger entry area is a little bit bigger, which is what we wanted. But now all the text is bigger, including our ledger entries text and the text on these buttons here at the top of the screen. If we hover over the buttons on the top of the screen, we can read the hint which has the full title to what that button is. Not the best solution, but we can work with it. Now the text for our ledger entries are a little big, so let's change that by going back into the settings, fonts, and instead of 18, we'll make this one 16. And instead of 16 for the cell font, we'll make this one 14. And apply. Okay, that's a little better. So those are the options for changing the text in KMyMoney. While we're looking at the KMyMoney settings, there's a couple of other things that I want to look at. Going back to the home icon, at the top here, we can see what items we want to view on the home page. We can check or uncheck items for them to show up on our home page. Clicking on the General icon and then clicking on the Global tab, we see that there's a checkbox here to auto-save periodically. That might be a handy feature. We could set that to save the file every 10 minutes if we like. Below that is the number of backups. The default is 10, but we can change that number if we want more or less backups. Setting backups to 0 will not make any backups at all. I'm going to leave mine at the default of 10. Under the Views tab, we see that we can set KMyMoney to open up to the home page, the default, or have it open back up to the view that we were looking at. I'm going to apply my changes and close the window by clicking OK. In the next video, we will continue looking at KMyMoney.